Alright, we're doing a review of Iron Man 2. Terrence Howard is replaced by Don Cheeto, or however the hell you pronounce his last name, playing Rhodes, aka War Machine, due to behind the scenes salary disputes. Apparently, he wanted more money and the studio didn't feel he was worth it. And tragically, Robert Downey Jr., his friend, ignored his calls during his time of need, not backing him up. However, I failed to mention in my review of the first Iron Man movie, though I liked the actor on screen, it felt as if their presences were too big to get along with each other. There was always this sense to me that they were just clashing. Robert Downey Jr. and Don come off more friendly on screen despite the characters butting heads often in the film itself. Gwen returns as Pepper Potts, Samuel Jackson as Nick Fury for a longer duration, John, however the hell you pronounce his name, as Happy Hogan and directing. He plays Happy Hogan and directs the film. It's important to note he wanted at least 3 years to develop this, that was only given two by the studio. For the first time, we get Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, unfortunately without the Russian accent, which pissed me off. On the other hand, she has some humorous scenes and is handled very well in action. Sam Rockwell plays Justin Hammer and comes off a bit ridiculous to me. Mickey Rourke plays a Russian villain known as Whiplash and comes off watered down. I believe I've read about the actor complaining about his character's lack of substance, as well as the lack of willingness to let him contribute to the better overall development of it. These villains work better together in the comic books than they're adapted to screen versions. But on the subject of Iron Man comics, I am not the most reliable source. That said, Clark Gregg returns for a short duration as Agent Coulson, but it really feels as if he's only there long enough for a Captain America Easter egg and to point out the fact that he's been reassigned to New Mexico to check out a top secret thing, which comes up later in the film in the end credits, and I'll get to that. The movie itself is not very well structured. It's a bunch of small subplots that contribute to the overall plot and outcome. In the beginning, we get Whiplash's motivations for his hatred for Stark, which is just that his father dies. He contributed to Howard Stark's architect, but was betrayed and deported due to other circumstances. Whiplash develops his own stuff based off that and goes after Stark. Tony becomes more of an egotistical showboat than ever before. With it being public knowledge that he's Iron Man, to the other characters, it can easily be mistaken that this has simply gone to his head. So I don't think it's too hard to believe they can't see why Tony is behaving so off for the rest of the film, especially since he is a very egotistical person from the get go anyway. The government wants Tony's tech, so does Justin Hammer, a rival businessman. Tony's behavior is seen as reckless and irresponsible. Jarvis explains to Tony that he's dying due to his own tech that's keeping him alive. He needs a refined version. Tony keeps this to himself while Pepper manages the company and complains about Tony donating all of his art to Boy Scouts along with all of his other bizarre actions. Tony ends up in a showdown with Whiplash. Very brief at a race car track, he's defeated and arrested. He doesn't. There's not actually a lot of action in this movie, which is just like maybe 3 action scenes and only 2 showdowns with Whiplash. Tony visits him during the exchange. The motivations are made clear to Stark, and Whiplash points out that it's not good enough to have that stuff in his chest. That it's not good for him to have that stuff in his chest. A hint that he already knows Stark is dying, I guess. Tony meets Natasha, aka Black Widow, and he wants her, like, very disrespectfully in front of like Pepper. He's just like how bad he wants her. Uh, he calls her into the ring, and she gets in the ring, and she notices Tony's going through her background files and stuff, and she's kind of looking back at that. Happy tries to catch her off guard, and he gets put down hard. Tony's really impressed with her. Uh, Justin Hammer breaks Whiplash out of prison and enlists him to develop his own Iron Man suit, which later on gets switched to being drones instead of suits to Hammer's displeasure. Uh, there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of subplots in this movie, and all of them, I guess, build to the overall story. There's not really much of a story itself, but here's one of the biggest. Iron Man kind of Tony comes off pretty obnoxious for a lot of this movie. Like Iron Man gets drunk at a party, being reckless, endangering everybody there, and Rhodes gets in an Iron Man suit, battling it out with his friend. The end result is that Tony is a dick, and Rhodes takes off with the suit, returning to the military for weaponization and presentation at Hammer's unveiling. The big flaw here is that it took Tony a while to learn how to use this tech well in the first movie. We got all kinds of scenes where Tony was trying to master his ability to control this tech, to use it. Rhodes has never taken a suit out. I'm not sure how he would know how to use the suit well. That's just kind of overlooked for moving the plot forward. After all that unenjoyable headbutting, Nick Fury comes in to have a talk with Tony. Natasha is revealed to be an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. working with Nick. Tony is put under watch and locked down with Nick gives Howard's belongings to Tony and leaves him with it. Tony learns his father's secret that he left for him to upgrade his personal reactor chess piece, which is kind of convenient. Another plot convenient thing. Another flaw is that Tony simply leaves to visit Pepper and take that secret home from his company, but he was supposed to be on lockdown. Rhodes gets the suit tricked out with Hammer Industry weapons, upgraded to his true war machine status. In the comics, it looks great. Jarvis tells Tony it would be impossible to synthesize what Tony's discovered is the secret to making his new chess piece. But Tony manages to do that anyway in a matter of days or hours. The passage of time is a little unclear, but once he puts the chess piece in, it pretty much cures his problem. That felt a little off too. A lot of things in this film just felt rushed or all over the place. Anyways, Tony races off to the Hammer presentation where he's been warned that things are going to go bad. Revealed that Whiplash was working on his own agenda tech all along with Hammer resources. He hijacks the Iron Man suit and the Hammer drone army and sends them after Iron Man. Pepper and Natasha work with Hammer and his tech guys to shut down Whiplash's efforts. Natasha and Happy Hogan race to Hammer's company to take down Whiplash. Happy Hogan gets in an amusing one-on-one fight with a guard while Black Widow shines with taking on a dozen guards with skillful hand-to-hand moves, takedowns, and shield gadgets. I honestly think she's more awesome in this scene than any of the other MCU movies. The costume she wears, the blue shield attire with the shield symbol, white holster, very shield comic book accurate attire. It's a shame it's no longer used in the other films. A real shame. I mean, that costume's badass. I completely forgot how badass that costume was. Iron Man and War Machine finally get the chance to fight side by side instead of against each other, which was annoying, and it's been annoying. In the first film, where they kept having disagreements with each other, that was annoying. In this film, it's largely been annoying. And that was the most desirable thing to me in this movie, that they got to fight side by side. Unfortunately, it doesn't last very long at all, even with Whiplash showing up in his own armored suit, which is, why do we have to have another villain in an armored suit? He's put down fast and self-destructs in one final attempt to take out Stark, another one-shot bad guy. Hammer is arrested. Tony and Pepper finally get together. They finally have their on-screen kiss. And Rhodes keeps the War Machine suit. The final important scenes, Tony sits in Shield office with news footage from the Incredible Hulk reporting on an incident that took place with the Hulk in this movie, in his movie, is being displayed in a scene on screen. Iron Man gets denied to be a member of the Avengers based off Natasha's evaluation of Tony, but he is hired as a consultant. Uh, the end credits is just Coulson finding Thor's hammer in New Mexico and calling it in. Now, my final thoughts on this film are it's the most forgettable Marvel film there is. It's not good, it's not bad. There's a lot of things that just aren't really that important. And all these small subplots just kind of crowd up the film. Probably give this movie a 6 out of 10. Anyways, it's Iron Man 2 for you. Not good, not bad. Most memorable thing about all this is getting to see Iron Man and War Machine fight side by side. And Black Widow is amazing in this movie. But other than that, feels like the whole movie was just to set up more of the other Avengers stuff. Introduce the characters. Like I said, I give this film a 6 out of 10. It's not the worst. It's not the best. It's just average. Completely forgettable. Except for that shield attire on Black Widow. Anyways, check out my GoFundMe. Stay awesome. That's it. Have a good one.